Hi, hello, and welcome to Journey Towards Wealth. Recently, I received a mail from a gentleman. Let's call him Mr. M because he would like to be anonymous on this public platform. So, his query was very simple that he is of 55 years of age and he is planning to retire by the time he is 60. He has an investable asset in mutual funds and PPF of around 5 crores, and he is still working for the next 5 more years, and hence he will be able to invest 25,000 per year, per month in a mutual fund SIP, basically index mutual fund SIP over the next 5 years. And he has his most important expenses like his housing, his cars, his daughter's education and all that taken care of. And he would have further expenses like his daughter's wedding, which would come up in the next 3 years, or a house renovation which he is planning down the lane. And one thing I really liked about his mail was he was mentioning about keeping some money available during their old age for some old age home or geriatric care. And in today's world, it becomes very difficult for people to accept that they may have to go to such facilities later on in life. But this gentleman was very open about it, and he wanted to allocate some amount towards this geriatric care that he thinks might be needed for himself or his wife. Another thing I really liked about his email was he was mentioning that during the recent boom that had happened in the equity market, he actually withdrew his amount from small cap and mid cap and flexi cap mutual funds, where he had made a decent return, and he was averaging at around 14 to 16% CAGR in most of his investment over the past couple of years. And he moved that amount to index mutual fund because he knew that he was about to retire and he didn't want to have an issue of anxiety during his retirement years. So he knows the return on an index mutual fund would be around 10 to 12%, which is perfectly fine because in retirement he wants a more less volatile investments, and hence he had the decision to move the money from his riskier bets to more index mutual fund. Another thing which was mentioned was he understands the volatility of the market, but at the same time, once he turns 60, he still thinks that he doesn't want to look at a return of 11 to 12%, but he would look at something around 9%, where he's thinking of allocating some funds towards balance advantage funds or something like that, where he expects to get a return of around 9%. Now, only suggestion that I would have for him is he should have maybe an expense of around 4 to 5 years in some guaranteed investment schemes, like you can look at the senior citizen schemes where you get a return of around 8 to 9%, and this would ensure that he doesn't have to worry about the volatility in the market. And the next 5 years of his expense, which is 12 lakhs into 5, which is around 60 lakhs, is in a safer instrument, and by then the volatility of the market would be considerably taken care of. And then after 5 years, once his fund in this kind of account has been used, or his fixed deposit has been used, then he can think about allocating more funds towards this, because his investment market value would have gone up over the next 5 years. So this is the only suggestion that I have, but let's go through a retirement calculator to see whether he's on track for his retirement. So another thing that you need to notice here is 5 years he will still be working, and another 5 years, which is we are telling about 10 years from now and not just directly 5 years. So even if the market is down today, in the next 10 years the market would have reached the new heights and his investment would surely grow by then. So there is nothing for him to worry in terms of allocating some money when he is 60 towards safer bets, so that he can have a peaceful retirement. So this is a very simple calculator where I have actually put in all the information that he had given me. So the first and foremost thing is his current age is 55 years and he's looking for a retirement at 60 years, and he has around 5 crore invested today, and every month he'll be investing around 25,000 in index mutual fund over the next 5 years. We are assuming a return of around 11% and before retirement, and 8% after retirement, and also inflation is assumed to be at 6%. His monthly expenses as of today is 1 lakh after inflation in retirement. On this basis, we are able to accumulate a corpus of around 9.25 crores by the time he is 60 and about to retire. Again, there are some expenses which he is assuming even after that. One is at the age of 58, he thinks that he will be able to conduct his daughter's wedding, which today, as of today's value, he is approximating it to 25 lakhs expenses, and around when he is 58, he is assuming it to be around 30 lakhs. In another 9 years' time, he is thinking that he will have a home renovation for around 20 lakhs in today's value, around 34 lakhs at that point of time. Next is geriatric care or old age home. When he turns 80 and his wife will turn around 78, they would want to allocate around 50 lakhs as of today's value towards geriatric care. In spite of all these expenses, with his current investment, he will be able to ensure that his investment lasts for 130 years. That's a long time. Having incorporated the data into this retirement calculator, let's see how his pre-retirement calculations will look like, and then we will go forward to the post-retirement calculation. So what we see here is his starting amount is around, at 55 is around 5 crore, and he's doing an SIP of 3 lakh per year, and each year he will keep adding 3 lakh till the time he turns 60. And at the end of this period, when he is at 61, he would be having a corpus of around 9.25 crores, which let's see whether it will be sufficient for us to for him to actually go ahead in his post-retirement life. As already incorporated in the calculator, we see an outflow of around 30 lakhs when he is 58 for his daughter's wedding, and that has also been incorporated in this calculation. I assume a corpus of around 9.2 crores at the time you are 60 would be sufficient for you to actually go through your retirement journey. But let's see what the calculator has to say about it. So in this post-retirement calculator, we realize that he start off with around 9.25 crores when he is when he is 60. And his monthly expenses after inflation of around 6% works out to be around 1,34,000. And your annual expenses after inflation works out to be around 16 lakhs. But you should see the returns he is able to generate with a 8% return on his investment, which is around 74 lakhs, which is way above his requirement at that age. Again, what happens is people think that 8% return is not achievable. Definitely 8% return is achievable even if you invest in some good quality balance advantage funds. Here, this gentleman is invested in index funds, which would fetch him actually better returns than that. But let's assume he is having an 8% return. Even with an 8% return and having a drawdown of around 34 lakhs at the age of 64 for renovation of his house, and at 80 towards his geriatric care or his old age needs of around 2 plus crores, he is still having a good amount of corpus once he reaches his age 90 or 94. Like if you look at this, you can see that at the age of 94 he will be having around 70 crores with a return of around 8%. That's what he has assumed, whereas maybe with an index fund investment he might get a return of 10 to 12%. Since he has a control on his expenses, he is not somebody who is spending his money without any check. and he is somebody who is careful about his money, he is able to have a good life in retirement also. In spite of the fact that even if we have some kind of emergency, some kind of additional expenses, you can see that there is a huge gap between his return and his annual expenses. And this is what exactly will happen when you have a huge corpus where your requirement might not be much, but your investments are huge. Now, in this case, he can go ahead with a comfortable retired life without worrying about anything. Even as earlier suggested, even if he doesn't keep aside 5 years expenses in fixed deposit or a guaranteed return scheme, with an assumption of 8% return in retirement, which can be achieved, then he can comfortably go ahead with this. He can actually not be worried too much about the monetary part of it. He just need to be aware about how he will be spending his time in retirement, because many a times people confuse retirement to be only associated the financial part of it, but there is a life beyond money when it comes to retirement. Also, he can actually splurge a bit on travel and other activities if he is interested in that. Having gone through the entire retirement calculation, I think we can come to the conclusion that he is comfortably placed for a retirement. He has enough corpus invested in the right way for him to retire after 5 years. Again, he needs to understand that he may have to revisit the same thing after 5 years to ensure that he is completely on track for his retirement. The biggest benefit he has is he has invested most of his corpus in equity mutual funds, and this ensures that he needs to pay only capital gains on the amount that is withdrawn each year, rather than, like, if you look at a fixed deposit, you can see that you have to pay your tax on the interest, complete interest amount, whether you use it or not. So if you invest such a huge corpus of 9 crore in a fixed deposit and you look at an return of 6%, that's a huge amount, and the tax that you need to pay on that would be much higher than what you have to pay on 12 lakhs that you are withdrawing each year through capital gains. Again, the tax rate for capital gains is much lesser compared to your interest on a fixed deposit, where you will be taxed at the highest tax bracket, which is around 30%. So this is one way that he has planned his tax quite well. Another thing is, since his expenses are not very high, so even if a year when he doesn't get a great return in terms of the markets, he is still able to sustain his lifestyle without much issue. But again, he can look at planning some trips or travel or other activities which he would not have enjoyed during his working life, because once they reach the age of 70, it may be difficult for them to go on travel and other activities due to health factor. So if a market has kind certain years and he get a better return, he can think about redirecting those amounts towards some fun activities in their life, like traveling or eating out or things that they enjoy as a family. Again, he has certain expenses during his retirement journey also, and he has ensured that he has sufficient funds allocated for those activities also, so that his retirement is in no way in a trouble. What I have seen is, many people, when they reach the age of retirement, they believe that they do not want to invest in equity market and they keep investing in safer bets. Many a times this will actually derail their retirement, because they are investment opportunities which cannot beat inflation over a period of time. So if you're somebody who is comfortable with equity market, it is better that you have at least a major chunk of your investment in the equity market. I've heard people saying that, as you get old, you should not have heavy investment in equity market. But if you're somebody who have been comfortable with equity market all through your life, just because you're retired, or just because you feel that you are growing old, you don't have to remove it fully and invest in safe bet. A person with this kind of corpus can take a bit of risk through equity market, because that's the only way that you can get an inflation beating result. returns. Here again, he has invested in the index mutual fund, which is not as risky compared to other categories of investment. So he is very comfortable that way, and also the return that he is assuming post retirement is only 8%, which I think he would be able to comfortably achieve over a period of time. So now, if you find these videos helpful, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for your time.